Whoosh! A scorching ripple of energy spread across the entire center of the square, sending waves of heat crashing outward, causing the few people present to change their expressions slightly. A mere boy at the mid-7-star Do Xian stage was actually capable of unleashing such a terrifying strike? An attack of this level would surely make even a true 8-star Do Xian shudder in fear if they faced it directly. So this is the divine technique the Xiao clan speaks of. Watching Xiaoyan's body rise high into the air, the exquisite lotus seed in his palm gently swaying, Xueying couldn't help but feel both curious and worried. After a moment, as if making a decision, black flames slowly began to materialize around her, and her power began to steadily surge. The descendants of the Xiao clan are indeed difficult to deal with, but this I like even more. Looking at Xiaoyan in such a posture, resembling a deity who scorned all life, slowly standing tall in the sky, blood-red lines suddenly appeared across Yanfeng's body, uncontrollably emerging. Even the patterns on his forehead were identical to those on Su Xiao's. Boom! A deafening sound reverberated across the square, and 4 massive, towering mountains of fire suddenly appeared behind Yanfeng. The Fire Soul Mountains were enormous, each one towering 1,000 feet tall, and each was imbued with countless mysterious flame runes that heightened their aura and power to the extreme. Immortal arts, huh? Kill. Not long after, Xiaoyan's eyes narrowed slightly. His body suddenly tensed, and he hurled the 5-color Fire Lotus directly at Yanfeng. The 5-color Fire Lotus tore through the sky, slowly descending. Its unbeatable power was enough to make anyone feel awestruck. However, when the 4 Fire Soul Mountains appeared behind Yanfeng, the entire world seemed to suddenly fall into silence. Countless energies from the heavens and earth were locked in place, and the entire square began to tremble. Boom, boom, boom. 5-color Lotus, Buddha's Fury Reincarnation. Exterminate ghosts and gods. Xiaoyan grunted coldly. The 2 attacks collided with each other, but his expression grew slightly more serious. Yanfeng and the others were already dead, but after being resurrected by Su Xiao using forbidden arts, their powers had fully recovered to their peak. They even possessed a bizarre, undead body that had to obey Su Xiao's commands. Boom! After a long stalemate, Xiaoyan's 5-color Lotus was forced to dissipate under the enormous pressure of the 4 Fire Soul Mountains. Circles of fiery arcs in different colors exploded like the most magnificent fireworks, and the entire space was scorched by the blazing sacred flames, twisting and shattering. Whoosh! The seemingly vicious attack ended in a stalemate. Only a small cluster of 5-color flames grazed Yanfeng's body, causing his countless pores to expand rapidly. Within those pores, there was a trace of faith power and boundless soul force. It seemed that the immortal dark arts and this place were deeply connected. It seems I really underestimated you. The fusion of several sacred flames. Even in your Xiao clan, such a technique would be a rare and extraordinary existence. Too bad you won't get the chance to use it. Die, old man. The moment the 2 attacks dissipated, Yanfeng ignored the conspicuous wounds on his body, and a faint smile appeared on his face, filled with boundless murderous intent. A mere mid-7-star Do Xian possessing such power. If allowed to grow, even he would fear its potential in the future. Yanfeng immediately fixed his gaze on Xiaoyan. His figure moved as quickly as a ghost, bypassing the dark nether soldiers, and shot toward Xiaoyan. This bastard! Xiaoyan couldn't help but curse inwardly. However, Xiaoyan had also gained some understanding of these immortal dark arts. Earlier, he had used his strongest strike, the 5-color Buddha's Fury Reincarnation, attempting to obliterate Yanfeng. In the end, only countless obvious wounds were left on his body. Although those wounds slowly healed under the effect of the immortal dark arts, the healing speed and time needed were far longer than before. If Xiaoyan's mastery of immortality and the immortal dark arts before him were compared, they were worlds apart. Xiaoyan's immortality was superior. So long as there was even a trace of life or residual power, it could truly achieve immortality. But the immortal arts before him seemed to have some limit. As long as he could break through that limit, this guy would fall once again. Of course, with Xiaoyan's current strength, it was still not enough. He had just performed his strongest strike, but he was still lacking in power. You little brat. In the blink of an eye, Yin Feng's aged body flashed directly in front of Xiaoyan. The power of an 8-star Douxian, combined with the support of the undying evil arts, would likely make this guy's combat abilities comparable to those of reincarnation. Xiaoyan, move. At this critical moment, a soft, urgent voice rang out from behind Xiaoyan. What's this? Xiaoyan shuddered, quickly distancing himself from Yin Feng and turning to look at Xueying. Xueying, whose once flawless, near-perfect body was now covered with dark markings, exuded a mysterious beauty. However, at the same time, on her wrist, a black flame swirled like a devil coveting the endless delicacies of the human world, releasing a greedy aura. Staring at Yin Feng's terrifying aura, Xueying gritted her silver teeth. She clenched her wrist tightly, and boundless dou qi and black flames erupted from within her. They fused together, forming a vast sea of black flames on the plaza. With a swift motion, she spread her jade-like hand, launching a deadly slap toward Yin Feng. The terrifying destructive force and the fierce winds caused the entire sky to churn violently. Even the entire plaza was completely enveloped by the black fire. What's going on? 8-star Douxian? Xiaoyan's eyes widened in shock as he realized that, ever since Xueying's skin had been marked with the black lines, her power had surged from 6-star Douxian to the early stage of 8-star Douxian. Moreover, the black flames in the sea of fire before her actually made Xiaoyan's amber flame soul fire tremble in fear. Interesting. For such a young person to control such sacred flames. I clearly remember this flame being part of the Xiao clan's legacy. I can't believe you guardians are stealing from within. Yin Feng's breath calmed, surrounded by the black fire, as he focused on the bizarre sacred flame. Ranked 12th on the sacred flame ranking, the Nethernight Demon Flame, known as the never-extinguishing demonic fire of the Great Thousand Worlds, was extremely powerful. Once unleashed, it must be nourished with blood. Otherwise, it would backfire and harm the user. Although this sacred flame was extreme, it granted the user unparalleled power. The never-extinguishing demonic fire had never been recorded as being extinguishable, and it served as the perfect cover for killing and escaping. On the plaza, the attacks from Feng Wan'er and Yin Yin continued. Even their terrifying waves of energy from within the reincarnation realm sent chills down everyone's spine. Meanwhile, Xueying, with her sacred flame demon fire, had turned the area into a sea of flames, trapping Yin Feng completely. However, this battle had reached its boiling point. After a brief moment, the outcome would soon be revealed. Is that the Nethernight Demon Flame, ranked 12th? Xiaoyan, seeing Yin Feng surrounded by the black fire, which had him trapped with nowhere to escape, noticed Yin Feng's previously calm face darkening. Xiaoyan's heart raced. The Nethernight Demon Flame, from what Xiaoyan knew, was a devilish and malicious fire. Once used, it required blood to sustain it. Otherwise, it would backlash and harm its user. Moreover, this fire was black, incredibly eerie, and was known to never extinguish in the Great Thousand Worlds. Even Xiaoyan himself felt a chill. He had no way of extinguishing this fire. Once it wrapped around someone, it would be extremely difficult to deal with. Ranked 12th, it was far stronger than Xiaoyan's Amber Flame Soul Fire. No wonder Xiaoyan had felt uneasy earlier. Are you all right? Xiaoyan's eyes flashed, and he hurried to Xueying's side, trying to support her. After all, she had just unleashed such a devastating attack, and her aura was now very weak. Don't touch me. Xueying whispered weakly, her face pale. Her delicate body trembled uncontrollably, and she avoided looking directly at Xiaoyan, as though she feared something. Although Yin Feng had mentioned that this sacred flame was the Xiao clan's legacy, Xueying had been forced to absorb it. Since then, the demonic fire had tortured her. After using the Nethernight Demon Flame, Xueying's aura and power had greatly increased, but her sensitivity and control over her own body had greatly diminished, even making her more sensitive to blood. Surrounding her, the black fire slowly gathered, and in an instant, a dark, beast-like shadow formed before her, viciously charging toward Yin Feng. Seeing this, the dark nether soldier did not hesitate. Roar! With a deafening cry, the black flame beast, having absorbed such a vast amount of dark power, became resplendent. Dark patterns converged across its body as surging demonic flames raged, and its massive claws swung through the air, releasing an unmatched wave of energy that shot forward. We don't have much time. Xueying frowned upon seeing this. It was clear that while the black flame beast and the dark nether soldier's combined strength could handle the current situation, it would only be a temporary solution. If they didn't come up with a plan, things could take a turn for the worse. Meanwhile, on the other side, within the realm of reincarnation, the attacks from Matriarch Feng Xun'er were repeatedly countered by Yin Yan's immortal curse. With each clash, their battle only intensified, and the two were now locked in a deadlock. You, get away. Xueying had barely finished speaking when Xueying, walking toward him, forced herself to suppress the faint flicker of black light in her beautiful eyes and trembled as she spoke. I have a way to break his immortal curse. Xueying reached Xueying and, without warning, his gaze shifted toward the terrifying Yin Feng, who was engulfed in the black flame inferno. His voice grew serious as he spoke. This curse, immortal, is only relative. Just now, I fused 5 sacred flames, reaching the limit of what he can endure. So, Xueying paused for a moment before turning back to Xueying, his voice firm and unwavering as he continued, I can handle it. I don't agree. Xueying gritted her teeth and, with a flicker of cold blue flames surrounding her body, tried to push Xueying away. Eat this. Xueying remained unmoved. After a brief moment, he rolled up his sleeve, revealing his arm, and slowly brought it to Xueying's lips, speaking in an indifferent tone. Xueying. Xueying's eyes flashed with black light, as though they were irresistibly drawn to his arm, trying to seize the last bit of her rationality. Unable to resist, she let out a roar. This is the inherited fire of my Xiao clan. It should still carry a trace of Xiao clan's aura. By using my bloodline power, it should help you break the curse. Xueying explained. But Xueying hesitated for a moment, her inner feelings torn. She clearly had mixed emotions about Xueying. Those two little kids really have a lot of tricks up their sleeves. But now, it's over. Just as Xueying and Xueying were locked in a tense standoff, the black flame beast was suddenly crushed by Yin Feng's powerful grip, and the dark nether soldier's dark shackle shattered, indicating it had suffered a severe injury. The brown flames, like scorching pink fire clouds, set the entire plaza ablaze, casting a crimson hue. Yin Feng's voice carried a cold, murderous intent that was all too clear. Hurry up, there's no time. Xueying shouted urgently. Rip. Upon hearing this, Xueying furrowed her brows, and her eyes, once full of black flames, completely engulfed her gaze. Black patterns swirled around her as she slowly placed her hand on Xueying's arm. Her small, cherry-like lips then pressed gently against his arm, as though it contained the most delectable nourishment. Xueying had long become immune to pain of this level, but Xueying's actions were surprisingly cute, like a newborn baby absorbing nutrients. He felt 2 faint, hollow spots forming on his arm, and soon black flames began to flow from her cold lips through his veins, heading toward the Xiao clan's bloodline deep inside him. Buzz. After a brief moment, Xueying's primordial bloodline was being drawn by Xueying, the greediness of it all staggering. It's almost enough. After a few breaths, Xueying furrowed his brow, his complexion and aura becoming slightly weaker, and he muttered to himself, whoosh. But Xueying seemed to be addicted, her eyes filled with black flames, attempting to devour everything from Xueying's body. She had already consumed 1/10 of his bloodline, enough to solve both her and the sacred flame's issues. If she continued further, Xueying might face a terrifying threat. Meanwhile, as the loss of his bloodline continued, a feeling of exhaustion flooded his soul sea. Thank you. Just as Xueying was about to act and wake Xueying, the black light in her eyes faded, and her aura slowly became still, although the black flame still lingered around her. Let me borrow your 2 sacred flames for now. Xueying spoke coldly, his eyes locked on Yin Feng, who was approaching them like a god of death. At this moment, Xueying showed no hesitation. The cyan sacred flame crystal and black sacred flame crystal detached from her delicate body and gently floated toward Xiao. Amber flame soul fire. Undying fire. Xiao coldly snorted, and the amber-colored sacred flame crystal and light yellow sacred flame crystal appeared simultaneously. The amber flame soul fire and sacred flame crystal contained within were even mixed with Fireheart heavenly rock, ghost face soul rock, ethereal ice flame, undying fire, and even a trace of heartbreak flame, making it nearly 4 types of sacred flames combined. Along with the 3 types nearby, 7 sacred flames. In the past, such sacred flames were nearly impossible to find in the Great Thousand Worlds. Yet here, in this small plaza, 7 types emerged at once with a single strike. In an instant, a storm rose on the plaza, and the void above the barrier trembled violently. An unprecedented sense of oppression swept across all the mountains where the Guardians resided. It was as if the terrifying scene before the true Fire King descended, resembling a welcoming ceremony in a magma hell. The power of the 5-color Buddha's Fury reincarnation had already moved Yin Feng, and now, with the addition of 2 sacred flames, Yin Feng was no longer of any consequence. In fact, the residual shockwave from this attack could completely annihilate Xiao. By then, it was likely that some valuable information regarding the undying evil techniques would also be uncovered. However, Xiaoyan's only concern was whether he could fully integrate his current power. After all, the power contained within the 7 sacred flames was immense, and one wrong move might result in Xiaoyan's complete destruction. The power of the 5-color Fire Lotus had already been completely mastered by Xiaoyan, so he used a profound technique to adorn the Amber Flame Soul Fire and Undying Fire Sacred Flame Crystals. The 2 sacred flames erupted, unleashing brilliant, dazzling firepower that intertwined into an enormous fire net, shooting directly toward Yin Feng. While this power could not harm Yin Feng, it was enough to buy Xiaoyan the time he needed. Xiaoyan took a deep breath, then held the 2 sacred flames that emerged from Xueying's body in his hands. The 12th-ranked Nethernight Demon Fire, black in color, resembled an evil ghostly figure, preying on and devouring humans like a demon. On the other hand, the 23rd-ranked Mystic Green 10,000 Frost Flame, a combination of ice and fire, was quite similar to the past Bone Spirit Cold Fire. Clutching them tightly, an aura of evil and a bone-chilling cold surged from Xiaoyan's hands. Though he was borrowing the flames, even with the 2 sacred flame masters' permission, it still placed a significant burden on him. Nevertheless, for Xiaoyan, who possessed the flame mantra, this was not difficult. Flame mantra? Xiaoyan knew time was of the essence, and he had no time for any unnecessary thoughts. The flame mantra, surpassing the 7 divine techniques, began to operate deep within him. At the same time, strange and profound forces were released, and the 2 flames abruptly became still. It seems easier than I expected? Xiaoyan was surprised. In the past, he had never encountered such an easy situation, and he couldn't help but feel overjoyed. As for Xueying, she stood quietly in place, while Yin Feng was momentarily held back. However, the power on Xiao's body grew increasingly radiant, subtly feeding immense strength to Yin, preparing to face Xun'er. As for this place, he didn't take it seriously. Given Xiaoyan's overwhelming strength, it was impossible for him to break the 8-star Do Xian level defense. That was Xiao's reliance. Since you're so confident, then this time? Looking at Xiao, who was focused on directing his bloodline power into the reincarnation realm and completely ignoring Xiaoyan and the others, Xiaoyan smiled. Soon, as the 2 sacred flames quieted down simultaneously, Xiaoyan's palm turned, gently tapping. The surrounding void was enveloped by vast energy, forming a fire arc vortex. The black Nethernight Demon Fire and the green Mystic Green 10,000 Frost Flame were flicked with his finger, and the sacred flame essence flowed out, directly shooting into the vortex. Boom, boom, boom. As the 2 sacred flames entered the compressed fire arc vortex, deep rumbling thunderclaps sounded. A violent energy, with the faint trace of an impending explosion, surged. Indeed, this fusion hasn't been done before, so there's still some trouble at the start. Xueying furrowed his brow, keeping a close watch on the two flames' movements in the void. Soon, the black flame took up 2/3 of the space in the fire arc vortex, leaving only a small portion remaining. Fuse. Seeing this, Xueying unleashed his full Do Qi, and with the flame mantra in play, the two flames dared not resist. Come. Fuse. This time, the fusion of the 12th ranked and 24th ranked sacred flames was incredibly fast. Once the two sacred flames completely quieted down, the 5 sacred flame essences from Xueying's body and external forces were also absorbed into the mix. Rumble. In an instant, the entire plaza was flooded with furious thunder, with no warning. Lightning pillars, several dozen meters in size, fell from the sky, each with obscure markings Xueying had never seen before, as if they were born from the heavenly tribulations. How is this possible? As Xueying withdrew the 5 holy flames and began merging them, with no further obstruction, Yin Feng's pupils shrank suddenly, and he exclaimed in disbelief. Poof! A bolt of thunder descended, and no matter what it struck, it was instantly obliterated. The destructive power was suffocating. Ever since Xueying began the fusion, Xueying had been watching him closely. It wasn't that she thought the flame mantra inside Xueying could neutralize the holy flames, but rather, after how Xueying had repeatedly helped her despite her harsh treatment, the hostility she once felt towards the Xiao clan had long since dissipated. The two of them were now more like friends. Xueying, be careful. Soon, a column of lightning was headed straight for Xueying's position. Xueying urgently cried out, her voice laced with panic. Not good. Xueying clicked his tongue in secret. But now that he had reached a crucial point in the fusion, he couldn't move. If he did, the 7-colored lotus seed would be ruined, a situation Xueying definitely did not want to see. Crack! With a sound, Xueying's delicate body collided with the thunderbolt, instantly causing the aura to weaken. Her complexion grew even paler, but she managed to force a smile at Xueying, clearly having intercepted the thunderbolt. At that moment, Xueying's gaze was as cold as that of a demon who killed without blinking an eye, and the speed at which he gathered the 7-colored fire lotus increased. 7 holy flames. I've never heard of such a thing, but you don't have the chance to see it. Seeing Xueying's terrifying attack, Yin Feng's heart was filled with cold sweat. Just moments ago, the 5-colored lotus seed had almost obliterated him entirely. Now, if the 7-colored lotus seed successfully formed, he feared, as the vast Do Qi surged in, the 7 different colored flames each took their own place, then began to fuse together. The sensation was so intense that Yin Feng felt an almost numbing dizziness spreading through him. Flame. 10,000 flames Earthlock. Seeing Xueying's actions, Yin Feng unleashed his full power as an 8-star Do Xian, summoning a massive fire chain that coiled around the entire square. The fire chain stretched for tens of thousands of feet, and it wasn't just the terrifying power it radiated. There was also a faint, almost imperceptible force intertwined with it. Reincarnation. Humph, good observation, but it's still too late. 7-colored fire lotus, explode for me. As Yin Feng's lethal strike approached, Xueying, with no regard for a perfect fusion, unleashed the lotus seed in its half-fused state. As Xueying's voice fell, Yin Feng's pupils contracted sharply. He looked in the direction of the sound and tensed up, his gaze fixed on an unassuming lotus seed in front of Xueying. The lotus seed was incredibly small, about the size of a fist. 7 leaves sprouted from it, and at the center of the 7 differently colored petals, a brilliantly glowing lotus heart swayed quietly. The 7 colors each contained power capable of rivaling the heavens. At that moment, an icy cold sensation, akin to the proximity of death itself, enveloped Yin Feng. He even had the foreboding that if this strike landed, even with his immortal evil technique, he would end up with his soul scattered and a miserable fate. Ugh. At this moment, countless stones on the square had already shattered, and numerous obvious cracks appeared across the ground. The void twisted and began to burn. The seven-colored lotus seed hovered quietly in midair, while a massive, tens of thousands of feet long reincarnation fire chain coiled silently beneath it. Seeing the reincarnation fire chain up close, Yin Feng's heart skipped a beat, and cold sweat and fear uncontrollably flooded over him. His face paled as well. "Explode for me." Before Yin Feng could make a move, Xiaoyan's voice, like a thunderclap, reverberated across the area. Whoosh whoosh. As Xiaoyan's words fell, the seven-colored fire lotus drew out the last bit of dou qi from Xiaoyan's body, and then gently detached, speeding toward Yin Feng. In an instant, the seven-colored flame on the lotus evolved into a dazzling glow. The sound of space breaking apart echoed continuously, and around the lotus seed, numerous seven-colored flame pillars, like guards, surrounded it tightly. Wherever the seven-colored flame pillars passed, flowers, trees, and even the air itself were instantly turned to dust with no resistance. Seeing this scene, Yin Feng suddenly shook his head. He had underestimated this guy. However, he knew that the most terrifying aspect of the seven-colored fire lotus was likely the lotus seed itself. The support of seven holy flames was enough to threaten his life. "Lock it down." With a shout, Yin Feng's profound dou qi surged like a river, flowing into the massive fire chain beneath the square, attempting to compete with it. Chhh, chhh, chhh. The fire chain erupted with an ear-piercing sound as it shot towards the seven-colored lotus seed. However, what was strange was that no matter how fiercely the fire chains howled and surged, they were suddenly repelled when they came into contact with the seven-colored lotus seed. Clearly, the two forces were not on the same level. How is this possible? At this moment, Yin Feng's previously solemn expression was replaced with shock. This was his strongest attack, and if such a level of strike had no effect, then, trying to escape? Too late. Since you have enmity with the powerful of our Xiao clan, as a junior, I am naturally willing to see you off. By the way, since you take pride in your immortality, I'll make sure your bones are obliterated. Seven-colored lotus, bloom now. Xiao Yin bellowed furiously, the madness in his voice impossible to contain. Boom. The entire plaza's void suddenly contracted, as if the heartbeat had stopped, only to explode outward in an instant, sending ripples of destructive flames that could annihilate the world. Stunned by Xiaoyan's roar and pinned in place by countless seven-colored light pillars, Yin Feng could only retract his fire chains, attempting to form a powerful defensive barrier around his body. As the seven-colored fire lotus erupted, the immense fire chains before Yin Feng were consumed entirely by its seven-colored flames. In that instant, he stood there like a criminal awaiting execution, vulnerable to any attack. Yin Feng's body was pierced by countless seven-colored light pillars, but due to his possession of an immortality curse, nothing happened to him. His pores simply shrank rapidly, and his belief power significantly weakened. Endure. Realizing the weakening of his belief power, Yin Feng dared not hesitate. Endless dou qi surged from his withered body, attempting to protect himself. Unfortunately, the power contained in the seven-colored fire lotus was far beyond Yin Feng's imagination. After continuous attacks, the core energy of the seven-colored fire lotus, like a halo of pure white light, detached from the center of the explosion and shot toward Yin Feng. In the sky, only a streak of pure white flame, like a shooting star, could be seen, its divine power illuminating the entire plaza. Even the two dark red coffins trembled slightly in response. Boom, boom, boom. Seeing this, Yin Feng had no countermeasure. A sense of dread surged within him, followed by a series of overwhelming Buddhist chants, and with them, waves of scorching heat radiated outward. Whoosh! The intense heat and sacred aura. In the span of a single breath, half of the mountaintop plaza was destroyed. The already crumbling plaza's void was now distorted. However, the black stones and their ceiling formations remained intact. Are you all right? During the explosion's aftermath, Xueying, with the help of her black patterns, shielded Xiaoyan. She immediately asked with concern. I'm fine. Xiaoyan gritted his teeth and responded. The devastating explosion lasted for several minutes before gradually subsiding. As the aftermath of the battle dispersed, the area where Yin Feng stood was left with a bottomless abyss. At the entrance of the abyss, there were still traces of intensely hot flames. Bang! 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 Just as Xueying and the others hesitated, a dark red coffin exploded from the sky, and a set of eerie white bones was reduced to dust in the explosion. As expected, my guess was right. Seeing this, Xueying couldn't help but smile. It seemed that the so-called immortality curse had many counters. Now, Xueying was at ease. By the way, where's Su Xiao? Xueying asked next. He's over there. Su Xueying replied, retracting her sacred flame, and led Xueying to a relatively safe location. What's going on here? Xueying noticed Su Xiao, whose eyes were tightly closed, his breath erratic, and he asked in confusion. It seems like he entered the reincarnation realm, Su Xueying speculated. In that case, upon hearing this, Xueying immediately set up 10 seals around the area, including Do Qi and soul formation arrays. After completing everything, he grasped the eternal ruler in his hand, a smile creeping onto his face. Useless. I just tried it. Seeing Xueying's actions, Su Xueying shook her head. Crack! With a bright flash, the eternal ruler on Xueying's arm glowed brilliantly. Under the cover of colorless flames and sacred runes, it directly sliced Su Xiao's soul in half, causing all vitality to fade away. Boom! As Xueying made this move, the clouds in the sky above the plaza began to writhe strangely. Then, 3 figures landed one after another. Xun'er, Yin, and Su Xiao. However, all 3 were heavily wounded. Upon seeing Xueying, Xun'er exuded an aura of cold-killing intent, while Su Xiao's pupils constricted in intense hatred. He roared in agony, "You little brat, I'm going to kill you." It's over, Su Xiao. Xueying paid no attention to that. With the last trace of Do Qi, he summoned the sacred flame and began burning Su Xiao's 2-stage soul body with intense fire. In an instant, a scream, like that of a wailing ghost, echoed through the air. Su Xiao's aura rapidly declined, with faint signs of his impending fall. Even the final dark red coffin in the sky began to show cracks. It seemed that this time, everything was about to end. Ah! A heart-wrenching scream slowly spilled out, and at that moment, a blood-red pattern surged on Su Xiao's body, rushing back into his second soul body with a thunderous force, attempting to reassemble the soul body that Xueying had severed. Unfortunately, he had underestimated the power of the sacred flame and the ancient ruler's sacred pattern. You little brat, next time I'll definitely not let you off. Just as the blood-red pattern returned to the soul body, the 2 soul bodies began to fuse, and even Xueying's sacred flame weakened. A sinister voice echoed. Just as Su Xiao was about to kill Xun'er and obtain the Guardian's key, Yin Feng, who had reached the perfect 8-star Dosyin, was directly suppressed by Xueying, something Su Xiao never expected. Poof! Xueying immediately trapped Su Xiao's 2 soul bodies, and 10 seals began to squirm together. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't break free. Tell me, what exactly are these undying evil techniques and resurrection evil techniques? Xueying enveloped Su Xiao's final 2 soul bodies with the sacred flame, speaking calmly, his voice carrying a rare sense of indifference. Dream on. Soul self-destruction. Su Xiao sneered coldly, and the blood-red pattern transformed into countless energies, faintly igniting the power of the 2 soul bodies, preparing for a self-detonation. Soul flame. Devour him. Xueying snorted coldly. Immediately, a strange ghost-faced soul flame emerged from the amber flame, completely annihilating half of Su Xiao's soul power. The people of Soul Hall are just a bunch of old men. They will understand why I did all of this in the future. Poof! After saying all that, Su Xiao's body suddenly trembled, and the blood-red patterns erupted with faint power, turning into a pool of blood. In that fleeting moment of power, not only was there a hint of belief power, but also the power of the extraterritorial evil clan. Damn it! I was careless. Although Xueying acted in time, he was still a step too late. However, Su Xiao was originally a soul body, without bones or flesh. This time, it seemed to be his true fall. Even with such an eerie resurrection evil technique, it couldn't completely revive him. Of course, Xueying himself didn't fully understand the details of such matters. Today I've had a taste of the strength of the Xiao clan's guardian. Indeed, extraordinary. Truly worthy of being called the guardian of the Xiao clan. At that moment, with Su Xiao's complete fall, the previously quiet Yin Yin started to become somewhat ethereal, and then smiled, a sense of ancient sorrow emerging. What is this? Su Xueying asked in confusion. The caster should be Su Xiao. Now that the caster is dead, this evil technique is on the brink of collapse. I didn't expect that an evil technique could kill the caster to break it, but this guy seems like he wants to tell us something? Xueying murmured, and even Yin Yan's gaze no longer held that previous ruthlessness. Instead, there was an unusual softness in his eyes. In that case, you should leave. You are not welcome here. Xun'er, upon hearing the words Xiao clan from Yin Yin, became even more cold and murderous. She snorted, showing obvious displeasure. Hee, although I am about to perish with my concerns settled, I will give you a piece of advice. Be cautious of the center of the human realm and the hell realm. Also, according to my memories when I was awakening, this resurrection evil technique doesn't belong to just us few. Of course, the current Soul Hall and Soul Clan seem very different from before, but I can't put it into words. You will probably have to explore it yourself. The current Soul Hall is no longer the Soul Hall. It's as if some great figure is guiding it. Furthermore, the relationship between your Xiao clan and the Guardians, there might be someone trying to stir things up. I hope you don't fall for it. Yin Yin said mysteriously, clearly having long desired to face off against the Xiao clan's experts. However, today, during his battle with Xun'er, he had resolved those thoughts, and as he neared his final fall, he couldn't help but speak to the few people in front of him. The Xiao clan, as an ancient and colossal race, had always been Yin Yan's mortal enemy. Die. Hearing Yin Yan's words, Xun'er gently raised her hand. A cold, ice-cold arrow shot out, piercing the void and easily striking Yin Yan. Thud. With a sound, Yin Yan's body and the coffin disintegrated into dust, vanishing into the air. At the same time, this plan was completely concluded with Su Xiao's fall. The others who had been resurrected also disappeared along with Su Xiao's demise. The mystery of how Su Xiao had been able to summon and resurrect several people, and even perform such a dark resurrection technique, remained a deep enigma that sank beneath the surface. For a moment, the mountains where the Guardians resided returned to their peaceful quiet, though the battles of these past few days would likely require considerable time to recover from. On the mountaintop square, a gentle breeze brushed past, and only 3 people stood there. They quietly faced each other, with none of them speaking first. However, all of them knew the immense killing intent within Xun'er, and the source of that murderous aura was clearly Xueying. Matriarch. After a long silence, Su Xueying spoke softly. She understood the matriarch's personality and resentment, and knew that once Xueying's true identity was exposed, he would probably have no place to bury his body. She couldn't help but want to ease the matriarch's troubles. Xueying, go back. I have some matters to discuss with your friend here. Xun'er slowly turned her back, her voice full of unquestionable authority. You should leave. At this moment, looking at the matriarch, so resolute in her stance, Su Xueying stepped forward and spoke softly to Xueying. I won't leave. Xueying shook his head. Despite the little doqi remaining within him, the situation had reached this point, and as a descendant of the Xiao clan, he had no choice but to take responsibility. But you'll die like this. Su Xueying couldn't help but shout. Xueying had helped her several times, and she absolutely couldn't be heartless and ungrateful. Her eyes turned red, clearly struggling to understand why Xueying was so determined. But I must do it. Xueying's voice was deep and carried a rare calmness, lingering in the air for a long time.